Good morning, everyone. I'm Matt Dana, the founding attorney and managing partner of Dana Whiting Law. I have with me today Mr. Todd Smith from Dana Whiting Law.
Good morning, Matt.
And also, those of you that watch our videos know that we have a sister company, don't we, Todd? Tell us a little bit about our sister company.
Our sister company is called Jet Probate. Jet Probate is a firm that is equipped to handle probate for clients in an efficient manner. We're trying to build a firm that can handle all the issues in probate that come up in a probate, but do it in a way where we don't have to have such high extravagant costs.
Yeah, and make no mistake, our goal is to take Jet Probate nationally, where we're doing probates all over the country. And we've talked, obviously, on the Jet Probate website, there's a lot of videos on probate. But Todd, I want to kind of give you a little bit of a curveball today. And there's some people that have a revocable living trust, and they have that for the specific purpose of avoiding probate. And we all know, or we should know, that trusts do a nice job in most cases avoiding that probate. But I think there's a huge misconception with people that have these revocable trusts. I think that sometimes they're taught, or they go to a seminar and they want to believe that if they have a trust, they never need an attorney. And we both know that that's not true. So the title of this video, we're calling it Trust Administration. And I want to talk to you, Todd, for just a minute about what exactly trust administration is. We'll start with that first, and then we'll start getting into how is trust administration very similar to probate, encompasses a lot of the same type of issues. But tell us, when you hear the words trust administration, Todd, what do you think about?
I think first of all, I think there's two things that it could potentially mean. When I talk about trust administration, most of the time what I'm talking about, or what the person asking about is talking about, is settling the estate of a decedent. Someone's passed away and they had a trust, and the trust needs to be settled. Now there's also a separate video we could make about another kind of trust administration where there's an ongoing trust for the benefit of a child or a special needs person.
That could be like Grandpa sets up a $200,000 trust for the benefit of grandkids. That trust is managed for the next 30 years. That would be an ongoing trust administration. Here I want to focus in on somebody died and what a trust administration is.
Right. And so when someone does have a trust, when they die, the trust does not automatically just do the things that the trust says. It does require action on behalf of usually one or more trustees to carry out the terms of the trust.
Yeah, and so this would be, in my mind, kind of the biggest similarity to probate. We've talked in a lot of our videos, probate's really the mechanism of passing assets from a decedent to a survivor. It's a process of changing titles from a decedent to a survivor. And trust administration is the same concept, where somebody died, we need to change titles from this trust that existed while somebody was alive to distribute out to people, right? Same concept, right? Transferring assets.
When you're asking, if someone asked that question that you asked before, which I think is a very important question, what is the difference between trust administration and probate? My response usually is all of the steps are exactly the same. But in probate, we have to go to court.
Has to be supervised.
That's
court,
right.
Yeah, you have a probate judge or court supervision.
But we still need to settle out creditor claims. We still need to deal with, beneficiaries. We have to deal with the administration expenses. I mean, all the other elements of settling that decedent's estate are the same.
And we also know that in probate and in trust administrations, it's the process of settling out a decedent's estate. It's the process of transferring titles, and generally we don't want it. In the probate situation, they won't allow you to transfer titles until you get past this creditor claim period and all creditors are paid. What about in trust administration? When can we transfer those titles, and who's kind of the watchdog on that?
Well, the trustee is the watchdog. Trustee is the person that has the fiduciary duty to marshal the assets, which I think what you're getting at, one of the things you're getting at there is, with a trust, marshaling the assets might be a little easier for the trustee. There may be a list of what's in the trust.
I don't like that word, marshaling assets. What do you mean?
So marshaling assets, that's the legal mumbo jumbo word we use for just getting your arms wrapped around what is in this thing. So when you do a probate, it's a little bit harder because someone's died and it may be a family member that's responsible to do this, and they may not know where everything is.
It's like putting together a puzzle. We don't know exactly what banks they have accounts in, what states they own property in, and so it is a bit of this putting all the information together. So we inventory the assets, kind of step one, whether it's a probate or a trust administration, same concept. We have to inventory the assets.
And often, if you look at it kind of holistically, globally, when you're settling the estate of a decedent, and they do have a trust, and there's trust administration, there may also be assets that aren't part of that trust administration. There may be assets that we still need to go through probate for. There are assets that maybe are not part of either probate or the trust because there's a beneficiary designation. And I think it's when you're talking about trust administration, the trustee is the person that's got this job of, with respect to what's in the trust, they have the job of settling that out.
They've got the duty to make sure creditors are paid before they distribute. What happens if they distribute and then a creditor pops up that wasn't paid?
Well, you're looking at breaching fiduciary duties just the same way as if you didn't do something in the best interest of a beneficiary.
And to say it this way, the trustee's liable for that, right?
Personal liability, yeah, it's scary.
Yeah, so here's the big misconception we've got to make perfectly clear. The fact that you've got a trust and your assets are going to avoid a probate doesn't mean you don't need a lawyer. Because a lot of the steps are the same. Inventorying the assets, collecting the assets, like you said, dealing with the creditors. And let's just say, I think that trust administration is always going to be somewhat less expensive than a probate. Or possibly because you don't have the court process involved, but it's not like you're not going to pay anything. There's going to have to be something that can be done.
I would say whether or not you have to get a probate court involved will be a factor in determining how expensive the administration is going to be, but it's only one factor and it may not be the largest factor.
Yeah, larger factors could be in either case, probate or trust administration. We still have tax issues to deal with, right?
If some estates have a state tax return that needs to be filed, some estates don't. I would say that issue is a bigger issue in how much we're going to be spending.
Well, and in either case, probate or trust administration, we're going to get a step up in cost basis. That needs to be determined, help clients with that. So is there anything else you want to mention as we wrap up this video? I think the main point we're making is just because you have a trust, don't think you don't need an attorney. Now, I know people that are selling trust out there. They're selling them out there on the internet. They're selling them on, I don't know if I can say these online services, and a lot of times when they're selling them, they're saying, you do this, you don't need an attorney.
Well, we probably have estate planning videos where we're talking about how in certain circumstances, one of the reasons why we want to do a trust is to avoid probate.
Yeah.
Now, I think that there are a lot of estates where the issues are so complex that whether or not we have to open a probate is not a very big deal for me. I mean, if we have to do it, we have to do it. I wouldn't say that that's going to be a determining factor about how expensive the administration is going to be. So you definitely are going to need an attorney.
And whether this fiduciary is serving as an executor under a probate or this fiduciary serving as a trustee under a trust, they're our client and they get paid as well, right? And it is time consuming.
It's a job. And they're subjecting themselves to that personal liability we talked about before. So if you're going to be subjected to the potential for personal liability, you might as well be compensated for the time that you put into it.
Well, thanks for your time today, Todd. I learned a lot.
Hey, thanks, Matt.